Yo, what's going on, rival fans? So the Twitter user known as Solid.gg discovered an unused feature in the game files from our rivals for an endorsement system called credits. It will change your name color depending on your credit level. As you can see, we have 6 different versions. We have dishonorable, questionable, reliable, honorable, distinguished, and irreproachable. Now these 6 levels of credits seem to represent the player behavior or their playstyle. Now if we look at the picture, it seems that the credits are organized from worst to best. I'm curious as to why they describe this feature. It seems to promote good behavior. Players with high sportsmanship, teamwork, or low report rates can be visibly rewarded, which promotes better in-game communication and discourages toxic playstyles. Now, reason for them not using this is maybe because players might prejudge others in lobbies. For example, they can see somebody with a red name and be like, don't listen to them, or a gray name, they say trash player. This can divide teams before the match even starts. And let's not forget, you also got people that smurf. Now, players with multiple accounts might not care about their credit level and will still troll or try to throw the match. But anyways, feel free to let me know what you guys think about this unused credit system. Alright guys, it seems Jeff might be the new meta again. Here it says this Marvel Rivals hero became unstoppable after the controversial change. It then goes on to say, with the release of season 2.5, Nitty introduced a major rework for Jeff the Landshark, the fan favorite strategist who went through groundbreaking changes which forced players to change their playstyle. Initially, the community believed that Jeff was nerfed to the ground. However, this rework has turned out to be the right move. Now, last time I can recall Jeff being meta was in season 0. In season 0, he was a menace. Trust me, he was. Now, the article also states that Jeff the Landshark holds a 46.39% win rates. While this is certainly not impressive, it surpasses the win rates of Visible who has a 45.54 win rate and Lewis Low has 45.28% win rates, both of whom are considered amazing healers. But also, in addition to this, Jeff is a hero with the largest win rate increase in comparison to season 2, as it increased by 4.35%. But anyways, feel free to let me know what you guys think about this. Y'all think Jeff is a meta? Alright guys, here you have the Reddit post by the user known as Super Elden Boss. He says, Cloak and Dagger are the most common no-skill players. He then states, I'm a flex player by most supports. I play Locust my main with Invisible Woman rocking my fallbacks. The most common load I see for other players is Cloak. I had Grandmaster again this season and I gotta say, I seen a lot of dog water cloaks. He's probably my second favorite healer due to a synergy with Loki, but the players themselves are just too bad with positioning, and then what's worse is they don't switch. When I'm on heals, I try multiple swaps to see what can work better, to be more survivable, or output more heals depending on the situation. The one trick cloak just die and then we lose. It makes you think Cloak's an easier player to climb with, and a lot of players are boosted because of her. When it came to dive in season 2, it felt like she was just a huge target. Now that the dive is dead, it's not as bad per se. But I still see trash Cloaks and Grandmaster and wonder if it's just because Cloak is just a good character. Now, I'm sure it was a typo, but just to clear any confusion, he's actually talking about Dagger. But anyways, he's on to something because you think about it. This always happens in every team-based game with the rank system. Characters that are strong, forgiving, and require minimal skill tend to attract players who climb without actually learning the fundamentals of the game, like Dagger or Scarlet Witch. They require no skill whatsoever. And Dagger's more of a safety net healer. Like Dagger Kid is incredibly forgiving. She got easy area effect healing, strong sustain, and decent mobility. This means players can get tons of healing value without ever understanding when to rotate, where to position, or how to survive under pressure. She's low risk, high rewards type of player. If your team is already doing fine, but when the match actually requires clutch heals, peels, or tempo shifts, these one trick cracks. So yeah, I do agree to Reddit user. Dagger attracts a lot of people who rise to numbers to Grandmaster, but don't have the game sense to match the rank. It's not that Dagger's bad, it's that she's too easy to be okay with. And the Grandmaster, okay, doesn't cut it. Now, if you look at the bigger problem, then you realize it's no adaptation. Now, what really separates good players from bad players in ranked is swapping. The fact that the Reddit user tries different supports to work best for him says a lot about the game sense. Meanwhile, Dagger players just die over and over, then flame or silence to the L. They refuse to adapt is one of the most frustrating things in rank. But even worse, so many players think they're doing fine just because their healing numbers look decent. Never mind that they died 12 times also in the corner. But overall, my final opinion is Dagger is overrepresented in high ranks because she gives mediocre players good stats. And she's like the easiest character to use besides Scarlet Witch. Another thing I can say is most Dagger players have bad positioning and don't swap or lack team awareness. That's another thing about it. And also, climbing on Dagger is easy, but staying used to a Grandmaster, that's another story for another day. But I do think they should maybe rework Dagger. Let me know what you guys think about that. Alright guys, we had this Reddit post by the user known as Frumbly. He says bot matches directly impede the ability to get better. He says, I have a friend trying to learn new characters and he'll update me on his performance. And I naturally get skeptical when he says he goes from 5 to 6 to 20 to 1. I look at his history on Tracker.gg and yep, the games are bot matches. I think this is important because if he has a crazy game, he'll start to think actually maybe he's good with the character or that he's clicked with them. And if he's flip-flopping between getting stumped and having to put forward zero effort, he's just gonna be confused what his skill level actually is and frustrated that his teams change so widely. So now I had an awkward job telling him about this, which is only gonna demoralize him more, which speaks the whole point of introducing these types of matches to make players feel better. I really do think bot matches the game forces you into with no heads up or a way to opt out in the short term might help someone have more fun in their play session, but long term, it just makes it be worse. Now for my thoughts on this, I think the Reddit user is completely right. This is one of the issues that seem minor on the surface, but it actually has a big long-term impact on player development, especially for anyone trying to improve. Like for example, the friend situation exactly happened when bot matches get mixed with regular queues without notice. He thinks he's improved because he sees higher KDs, more skills, better positioning, or etc. But it's not real. In other words, it's basically training wheels disguised as progress. Then when the queues to a real match gets stumped, it's demoralizing because it feels like progression, and really he just never left the safe zone. So that motion roller coaster of on crack to our circle game is destructive for confidence and gives zero real insight on what needs to work. Now I say the worst part is a lack of transparency. For example, the game don't give you like no warning for this game, like if it's a bot match, it don't say this was a bot match at the end screen, nothing like that. And it also doesn't give you like a toggle or opt-out option. But this in turn leads players misinterpreting their performance, often getting false confidence or unfairly blaming themselves for losses that followed. It also skews stats, which sucks for anyone trying to track their progress. Now hear me out. Bot matches can be useful if handled right, because I'm not entirely against bot matches, but they should clearly be labeled AI match or practice game, and they should also not force bots into regular matchmaking. And another thing I can say is, bot matches can be useful for tutorials or warm-ups, but as of right now, they've been used as helping player retention metrics and not actually help improve, and that's lazy design. But the best solution for this would be to not remove them entirely, but they should also stop sneaking them into standard matchmaking and start being more transparent about it. Alright guys, we have another Reddit post about a user known as LCLPS Mutuality. Sorry if I said that wrong. But he says, you'll never win focusing on the enemy tanks. He then states that your team strategy is to sit out point and try and poke the enemy tanks down. The enemy tanks should 9 times out of 10 be the last person on your team you're hitting. There is obviously the open neutral fight when a team fight engages slowly, and yeah, you hit the tanks because they're the only ones right there. But after a few seconds of that and the movement begins, unless your healer finds in the middle of the tanks and theirs, there's no reason you should be sitting there pumping damage into tanks, feeding their ults and their support ults. The team that presses the enemy healers and other DPSs on the enemy team better than others win every single time. Now the core argument we can take from this is, don't turn on vision on tanks. Unless by just starting and the tanks are only in front of you, tanks should not be your main damage target. Why? Because tanks are designed to soak up damage and shoot them to charge their ultimate faster, charge their healer ultimate, and also waste your team resources while DPS and healers really operate. Honestly, I feel like the only time you should attack a tank is like when your team also attacking him. But now that it, maybe you got like an old powerful character, then they'll be different. But it's also still a bad idea to try to just attack the tank by yourself. But what you should do instead is press the backline by focusing on enemy healers and enemy DPS shooters. And when it comes to diving, if you're playing flankers like Black Panther or characters with high mobility / high damage output, your job is to disrupt or eliminate supports or DPS, not poke a shield. Also, I love how this post acknowledges that at the very beginning of a team fight, tanks are often the only targets available. But once the fight develops and players spread out or reposition, your target priorities must shift to more valuable and vulnerable enemies. Now, the reason why this advice works is because tanks they control the space, but DPS and supports decide the fights. But if you take out a support, it creates a healing gap, leading to tank collapse naturally.